We use energy for everyday activities, to light our homes and buildings, to travel from one place to another, to use equipment, but also heating and cooling systems. Energy can be obtained from two different sources: fossil fuels or renewable energy sources. Fossil fuels are made from plants and animals that died thousands of years ago and have decomposed inside Earth's crust. These fuels contain carbon and hydrogen, which can be burned to make energy. Coal, oil, and natural gas are examples of fossil fuels. Burning these fuels produces greenhouse gas emissions, which are making the planet warmer, and are, as scientists agree, the biggest culprits of climate change. Scientists and engineers have been looking for ways to reduce our dependence on fossil fuels and to make burning of these fuels cleaner and healthier. This is essential as we're currently extremely reliant on fossil fuels, which are a finite source. They will not last forever. It is estimated that if we continue at our current rate, we will have used all fossil fuels by 2060. Fossil fuels are also the cause of pollution. The evidence is now glaring that we need to reduce our reliance on these fuels. Renewable energy simply means that these sources of energy are naturally replenished on a human time scale, like sunlight, wind, rain, tides, waves, and geothermal energy. While governments and private companies are making efforts to increase renewable energy sources over the past few years, the world is still heavily reliant on fossil fuels. So how does all this talk about energy and fossil fuels relate to us individuals? Quite simply, we all use energy in everyday life, and while using energy is necessary, what is not necessary is to waste it. The first thing we need to do is figure out what are the areas of our lives where we use energy. We're going to concentrate on lighting and equipment at first. The two factors that will make us use more or less electricity when using our lights are the amount of electricity a bulb consumes per hour and the amount of time we use the bulb for. Electricity is measured in kilowatts. When it comes to light bulbs, the electricity use is measured in watts. 1000 watts equals 1 kilowatt. You can usually find the wattage of a bulb written on the actual bulb. Although these numbers are small and can be hard to read, you will nearly always be able to see them. LED and energy-saving bulbs consume a fraction of the energy that regular bulbs consume. So let's look at the difference this might make over a year. A regular bulb can use 60 watts of electricity per hour. Let's say we'd keep this bulb on for 10 hours per day, and that our electricity unit price is 40 cents per kilowatt. With a quick calculation, I can see that using this bulb will produce 72 kilograms of CO2 emissions, and it will cost 88 euros to use it for a year. If we were to replace that bulb with an LED bulb that uses only 4 watts of electricity, and we use it for the same number of hours a day, we can see it will produce just under 5 kilograms of carbon emissions, as well as the cost being only 6 euros to use it for an entire year. Similar to bulbs, the two factors that affect the amount of energy we use on devices are the kilowatts of energy the device uses per hour and how many hours do we have the devices turned on for. Let me tell you a personal anecdote, something that happened to me. I work from home, and years ago I used to have a PC in my office, using 250 watts of electricity, and I used to leave it on all the time. I simply didn't know any better. With an electricity unit price of 40 cents, having my computer on was costing me 876 euros per year. Now I have a laptop which uses much less electricity, 50 watts, and I only have it turned on for an average of 9 hours per day, which costs me only 65 euros per year and produces only 54 kilograms of CO2. We all have also some devices that are left on a standby mode, including televisions, radios, printers. While they're in a standby mode, the assumption is that they don't use electricity, but they all use some small amount if not properly turned off. Vampire energy use of these devices might cost us only 13 euros to leave them on constantly plugged in for a year. But if I start to unplug my 2 TVs, 3 radios and 2 printers, I will not only reduce my electricity bill by €91 in 1 year, but I will also be reducing my energy use by 788 kilowatts, which translates into reducing my carbon footprint by 260 kilograms. Think of this action in global terms. There are 8 billion people in the world. Imagine if every person who has access to electricity on a daily basis did the same. What I would really like you to take from today is that every single small action each of us can take to reduce their use of energy is valuable, however small it might seem. The power of collective action means that if we all reduce our impact on the planet, this can create huge benefits overall. But apart from lighting and equipment, where else do we use energy? We all use some type of fuel to heat our homes. Heating fuel might be oil, gas, or electricity, or sometimes we can also find renewable energy sources like geothermal heating. The amount of energy we need for heating varies depending on the temperature that we set our thermostats, but also for how long we use it each day. Reducing the thermostat temperature by just 1 degree can reduce your heating fuel by as much as 10%. Of course, nobody expects you to sit on the cold, but with the potential of reducing our environmental impact while also saving money, it is worth to test out different temperatures until you find the sweet spot, where you're warm enough but you're not wasting energy. The Irish government provides various supports for households who want to make their home energy efficient. The Better Energy Homes scheme is for homeowners or landlords who want to do energy upgrades and manage the process themselves. The Better Energy Warmer Homes schemes is a scheme for people on low income that provides free energy upgrades. The National Home Energy Upgrade Scheme is a scheme for homeowners or landlords who want to bring their homes up to a BER rating of B2 or above, using a private company to manage the project. Under these schemes, you can access grants for attic insulation, wall insulation, heating controls upgrades, solar thermal solutions, solar PV panels, heat pump systems, and building energy rating. You can find more information about these grants on Citizens Information or SEAI website. Another area is data storage, which is becoming one of the biggest sectors that contributes significantly to carbon emissions. Data storage is now ahead of the commercial airline industry in the way it impacts the environment. A single data center consumes electricity equivalent to powering 50,000 homes. There are over 8,000 data centers worldwide, and this demand will continue to escalate, which will amplify the strain on global energy resources. In Ireland, we have one of the largest concentrations of data centers, 82 in total, of which 77 of them are based in the Dublin region. In a case study by a university, it was shown that data transfer and storage cost approximately 7 kilowatts per gigabyte. For context, a gigabyte can store hundreds of high-resolution photos or an hour of video. In contrast to this, the hard disk of your laptop requires a mere 0.000005 kilowatts per gigabyte. As a result, cloud-based storage solutions such as Dropbox and Google Drive generate a huge amount of carbon footprint. Here are some tips to reduce data storage. You could buy a USB stick to back up your data. You can also save files directly onto your device. And you can delete unnecessary photos or videos from your phone or any cloud storage that you might have. Transport makes headlines often for being part of the problem that is greenhouse gas emissions globally. As you can see from the following graph, emissions from aviation have steadily increased year on year, but it is important to understand that emissions from transport also include all global freight to distribute products. Let's look at this example. These pears were grown in Argentina, sent to be packaged in Thailand, and then transported again to be sold in the USA. Imagine the emissions generated by this transport. Does that make any sense? One simple action to reduce the impact of purchased goods transportation is to buy local, seasonal, or national products as much as it is physically possible. But to reduce the impact of transport, we also need to look at the different methods we individuals use to travel from point A to point B. The most polluting way of traveling is using our cars. While the car itself is less polluting than a plane, the fact that cars are used individually means we have millions of them on our roads. Ireland's transport emissions per capita were the fourth highest in the EU in 2018. Examples of sustainable transport include walking, cycling, public transport, car sharing, and electric vehicles. The past Minister for Transport, Eamon Ryan, confirmed that the National Transport Authority allocated funds to Ireland's local authorities with a view to spending 289 million on walking and cycling infrastructure in 2022. These and other projects aim to make our urban centres more attractive places to live, work and visit. It is good for public health and environment and promotes the most economic and efficient transport system. The government is working with the Department of Transport and relevant stakeholders to transition bus services to a fleet of low-emission vehicles. Trials are already running in Cork City and Dublin City using a variety of technologies including fully electric vehicles, hydrogen gas and retrofitting diesel buses. Trains and local services are already less polluting than other modes of transport. The Irish government has also committed to getting 700,000 electric vehicles on Irish roads by 2030. A charging network is being rolled out across the country with free parking available at the majority of charging locations. The actions that we can take to reduce our energy consumption are switching our electricity supply to renewable energy sources, switch bulbs to LED, turn down the thermostat by 1 degree, use timers or smart heating controls to turn the heat when needed, switch off all appliances, only use the lights when is necessary. The biggest energy users are the shower, the cooker, the tumble dryer, the washing machine and the kettle, so use them sensibly. Wash your clothes at 30 degrees. If possible, use eco settings in your washing machine and wait until you have a full wash to put it on. Take shorter showers. Reduce your use of the tumble dryer. Only boil the amount of water you need in the kettle. And tackle the cold droughts around your house. This way you can keep the heat where you need it. If you have a heated water tank, make sure you have a timer to switch on or off. Use public transport as much as possible. Cycle or walk. Fly less and consider other methods of transport before booking flights. Reducing our demand for energy generated by fossil fuels will allow us to improve on the following Sustainable Development Goals: affordable and clean energy, industry, innovation and infrastructure, sustainable cities and communities, sustainable consumption and production, climate action, and life on land. We have come to the end of this lesson. I would like to encourage you to complete the activities on the lessons workbook.